All right, guys, welcome back. This is Monday. I'm just going to talk about what you guys are responsible for working on today. So today, what you guys are going to be doing is creating your own vocabulary slides for the words that you guys were working on last week. So you're going to need this from last week in order to do that. Okay. So on this sheet, you guys have the words here and the definitions already given to you. So you're going to use these in order to create these slides. All right, so let's take a look at the format first. So this is what it looks like, right? So you have 4 boxes there in front of you that show you what you need to have inside of each one of your slides for each word. Okay, so you're going to do all 10 words, right? So the words are here, right? Prompted all the way to hydroponics. So this first column here is the definition, so you can use the exact definition that you see on that sheet. The second thing that you need to do is you need to have a picture that represents what that word means that goes here. Okay, so in order to do that, you're going to just find the internet and use the internet to find pictures that represent that. Okay, this part here is where you're going to put the word being used in the sentence. Okay, and then this part here is where you're basically going to find either words that are the opposite, which is an antonym, the opposite of the word, or you're going to find something that is not an example of it. So it's something that is not what that word is. So you're trying to find something that's the most closely close thing that represents what that word isn't. Okay, so let's look at an example of what the flashcards look like. Okay, so in this case, I have the word ambitious. So I have the word ambitious. That's what goes on top. Over here is the definition. Okay, so this is the definition you would get: having or showing a strong desire or determination to succeed. Here, I have an example of someone being ambitious. Okay, and now something that you need to know, though, in order to do this, you can't just go into the internet and say Google ambitious, because sometimes the pictures aren't going to represent what it means to be ambitious. So what you might need to do is think about, okay, so what does it mean to be ambitious? So when I found this picture, I didn't type in the word ambitious. I typed in a boy doing something amazing, and then this is what pops up, right? Or boy lifting up something more than he should, because I know that's ambitious. And again, I have that word ambitious in the sentence. The ambitious boy decided to lift 250 pounds. Now, this column right here, probably the most difficult thing to do is you're finding words that mean the opposite of what it means to be ambitious. So an antonym for the word ambitious is lazy. Okay, so again, this column, definition, this one has a picture. This one is where I put a sentence. And then this one right over here is where I have an antonym that represents it. Now, I already created basically the format for yourself to use, for you guys to use. So you have, again, this is where your first word would go, and then you go all the way up down to the bottom. So you don't have to worry about formatting the slideshow. It already has it, and it has everything labeled too. So you would just erase everything that's on here and just replace it, right? So I'd put the word here, the definition, picture, etc., etc. Okay? All right, so I noticed that probably one of the most difficult things for you guys to do when you're working on this activity is to figure out when do you need an antonym and when do you need a non-example. So if you look at the list of the words, there's certain words that you know you're going to be able to find a word that's the opposite of it. So if I look at number 1, prompted, which means to move into action and insight, I'm not going to have a problem finding a word that means the opposite of it. Okay? Nonchalant means feeling or appearing casually calm and relaxed, and or not displaying anxiety or interest or enthusiasm. I'm probably going to be able to find a word that means the opposite of that. Forged, which means to form or bring it to, especially by expenditure of effort. That I could probably find an antonym to as well. But when I come to number 4, which is burlap, burlap is a coarse, heavy, plain fabric, right? So that's going to be a little bit harder finding an exact word that doesn't is the opposite of that. So what you need to do is, instead of coming up with words that are opposites of it, of burlap, you got to just come up with an example of something that isn't burlap, right? So all I would do for this problem here, if I was doing the fourth vocabulary slide, would be to come up with an example of something that's not burlap, that is just not a fabric that's like burlap, right? So I know burlap's a certain type of fabric. So instead, I would put something like silk. Silk is a very soft material, whereas burlap is kind of like a sturdy material. So instead of writing an antonym, I would write the word silk, which is a very soft material. Okay, so again, definition here, picture here, the word in a sentence, and then either an antonym or a non-example.